All right. Hello, everybody. Um, it's been a while since I posted something on Zoom. I'm finding where everything is again. So I'm just going to get my slideshow set up and then I should be good to go. Okay. I'll have a pretty brief presentation. We should have plenty of time for questions. If questions come up while I'm talking, feel if it's in the chat, if someone could unmute and yell at me. I only have one screen, and so I can't see the chat when I'm in present mode. So please let me know if you can't hear me or anything. So this is the Public Library Survey overview for the 2023 data collection. The Public Library Survey is a survey put out by IMLS. It consists of both federal and state data elements, and public libraries fill this out annually. The Public Library Survey is more commonly referred to as the PLS, because if you say Public Library Survey too many times, it's like a tongue twister. It is sometimes referred to as the annual report, as seen in Century Code 54-24.2-06. Dealing with the required report for receiving state aid. Please do not confuse this with the annual report to the governing body, which is Century Code section 40-38-09, which is the report that is given to the city and or county, giving updates on the library. The important dates to remember: this survey opens February 1st and it closes at the end of March. We highly recommend starting early, which you will understand in a minute if you don't know from experience. We do the survey through counting opinions. Please contact library development if you forgot your login or having any trouble accessing the survey. The email is ndsl-ld@nd.gov. So this is why you should probably start early. There are a lot of pieces to the public library survey puzzle. The first section, identification, is largely filled out for you. If you notice any errors in the information in the identification section, please let me know because I will have to update that separately. Some of the parts are really easy to fill out, like library governance is all yes/no questions, pretty breezy. Some are more difficult to fill out, like the revenues and expenditures section, programs. So, there's some parts are going to take no time and some parts are going to take all the time. So, just be aware that there's a lot that goes into it. But there is one part that is no longer there. James kind of teased it last year, but the COVID-19 questions are no longer on the PLS. So you don't have to try to keep track of how much you were closed because of COVID anymore, or additional services being offered because of COVID closures. So hooray! In library land, COVID-19 is in the past now too. Tips and tricks. I highly recommend, especially if you have not filled out the survey before, but also, if you're a returning person who kind of blocks this all out of your mind once it's submitted in March. But go through the survey once before filling it out. Identify the parts that are going to take longer, so that you can kind of plan it out. Definitely save as you go along. There is nothing more heartbreaking than having filled out a whole bunch of things and then your computer died and you have to do it all over again. Print a copy for your files. Submit when you're finished, especially when you're consistently clicking save. It can be easy to click save instead of submit, and then you think you're done, but you haven't submitted your file yet. Notes do carry forward from year to year. So if there are sections where it's hard to remember, how you collect the data, go ahead and add a note, say, talk to so-and-so at the auditor's office to get, the revenue information, or, go to the second file drawer on the right cabinet and you'll find all of the circulation information for the year, notes like that. And if there is anything that is, vastly different from the previous year, go ahead and add a note. Or if the available options don't fit your library situation well, go ahead and add a note. If you're not sure what the question is asking for, each question does have a definition. If you click on the question number, it'll give you more information about the question. You'll be able to see what you reported the previous year. So you'll be able to, tell when an explanation might be required. Please answer 0 if the answer is 0 or none. So 0 is an acceptable answer. And if the box is grayed out, the information is pre-filled and cannot be changed. So please contact me if that information is incorrect. Edit checks, they're triggered if the answer is 0, exactly the same as last year, or very different. And edit checks will have to be addressed before you are able to submit the survey. If edit checks are giving you a problem and you think you've addressed them and it's still not letting you submit, please let me know, and we can take a closer look at things. So some challenging questions. These are based on experiences I had helping out last year, as well as things that came up in the state data coordinator meeting last week. But question 3.3, total weeks open. If you are open half of your usual scheduled hours or more, you can count that week. Anything under half, you can count as a closed week. And wouldn't count toward weeks open. Revenues and expenditures just tends to take more time in general. As questions come up, your auditor will probably be your best resource, but I will, help as I can to clarify. The program counts, particularly in the children's programming, the 0 to 5 and 6 to 11. Those are the ages that the programs are targeted for, but you count everyone who attended the program. So say it's a baby story time. So, effectively in the 0 to 5 range. Um, oh goodness, the train of thought left the station and left me behind. So the program is targeted at 0 to 5-year-olds. You would still count, every parent who brought their baby to the story time because they are a program attendee. Reference counts. This was a place where I may have inadvertently led people astray last year, just based on how my previous library had counted reference. But when tracking reference, don't count directional questions like where is the bathroom, but do count reader's advisory. Those count. So who to contact for help? I'm your go-to person for the PLS this year, and hopefully for many years to come. I would love to give you some continuity. You can reach me through the library development email. You can email me directly, or you can always give me a call at 328-4680. The PLS LibGuide is another good resource. We have previous year's data there. We also have some helpful things for filling in the information. I am still working on updating some of those things, but I should have OLR usage up for you soon, as well as the overdrive usage. So those will be updated hopefully by the end of this week, beginning of next, and ready for you to just quick reference and drop in the answers. So I kind of talked a little bit fast there, but ready for questions. I might stop the share for a minute so that I can see if anyone drops it in the chat. But any questions? Yes. Phone calls will, I believe, would count if you were answering a reference type question, so using resources to answer. So I believe, I can't remember if I saw that email or not. And I'm not sure if that was about state aid or, so let me follow up with Mary on that one, Tracy. And yes, Christine, that is correct. This year, the only change is that there are no more COVID-related questions. And yes, Candy, I believe the kit would count as one ILL, even though there are multiple things, you're only requesting one thing. And Jesse, total weeks open. So you can count it as an open week if you are open 50% of your hours. So if you're open 40 hours if you're usually open 40 hours a week and you, for whatever reason, weather, sickness, you know, uh, library pipes um, exploding, um, you're only open 20, you could still count it as a week open because you were open half the time. So I believe it would go from when it was that's a good question. My gut says when it was requested. Um, but I can check on that one. And yes, Diana, it is being recorded, and it will be posted on the YouTube channel, and I'll also have it up on the LibGuide. Take and make. That's another good question. I'm just going to take a look at how we have the programming questions worded, because I know what other libraries are doing, but I don't recall if we have the same type of question. Lexi, I don't have a good answer for you right now. My guess is, since it would depend on if there's some sort of programming before and they take the kit, or if it's just the kit. Or wait. Um, yeah, because other libraries do it as a self-directed program, and that's not something we're currently tracking at the state level. So let me get some more insight on that, Lexi, and I'll get back to you. Oh, yes, it would be a passive program, which probably is there and I just didn't see it. Any other questions? Jesse, I have no preference as to how you contact me. Whatever is, most convenient for you in the moment, is what I would say. So I'll give you guys a chance to, percolate more on questions. But there is one more thing I would like to go over ever so quickly, just to get it on your horizon. In the far off time of 2025, there are going to be a lot of changes. So I'm prefacing this by saying most of these changes are made to try to make the data collection easier for the libraries. So even though there are a lot, they're trying to make it easier. So of the additions, they're mostly going to be yes/no questions dealing with electronic content and who is providing access. So, and breaking it out. So it's asking, does, the library provide, ebooks? Does the library provide access to, state purchased ebooks? And they just go through that for all of the electronic content. So mostly yes and no. They do have, they're changing up the children's circulation question, um, and they changed it to circulation of children's physical material. How exactly is that different from what you're tracking right now? Um, I think they were trying to both narrow and expand it. So you're tracking all children's checkouts, so that would include playaways and things like that. Deletions, they're taking out the number of ebooks and downloadable audio and video. They're taking out successful retrievals of electronic information. So you would no longer have to track the OLR usage, but you would be um, yep. Yep, and getting rid of the website visits. So there will have to be kind of there's room for discussions on the state end, at least with the deletions. So if we were finding that, some data was valuable to keep tracking, we can keep, those elements on as state questions. But the they'll no longer be national questions. So we'll probably be reaching out at some point fairly soon, um, to find out what you found valuable and what you didn't. Um, and I do have a document that kind of lays out, what's coming and what's going away, and they did it really well. It's from another state though, so I have to do a little bit of editing, but I will be sharing that with you as well. Yep. I'm so glad that you guys are excited about some of those upcoming changes. Again, here is my contact information. And these slides will be up on the LibGuide so that you can peruse them, click on any links, have the emails, and things like that. So any questions about upcoming changes, any concerns, things of that nature? I should note that next year, the first year of any changes is a test year. So we're not expected to, make the changes if we're not ready. Though I personally, lean into the change and, let's practice this. But I just wanted you all to have a heads up so that you could start planning how you want to, track that information for the coming year. So, believe it or not, that's kind of, what I have for you. There the lack of, big major changes, makes this year, kind of easy, a good starter year for the people who haven't, done this survey before, and a relaxing year for our old timers. It's a total question. So the hours you're open on the typical weekdays, and then so the totals should automatically calc. So it'll report the regular weekly hours, and then it'll multiply out for the total hours that it was open. So it should automatically calculate. Any other questions or concerns or thoughts? Okay. Uh, well, I'm perfectly happy to give you all 30 minutes of your day back. I'm glad that, it's should be hopefully, knock on wood, easy collection this year. Um, but please let me know if things go wrong, and and we'll get through this all together. All right. Have a good day, everybody.